Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Morgue. My name is Mal, and welcome back, everyone. Today, we have a special guest. We have a very, very special guest. It is Mama Mel again. Say hi, Mama Mel.
Hey, y'all.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Good. I'm glad you're good. So I know everyone probably expected Hannah to be back this week, but unfortunately, she is a little sickly. She's a little sickly baby, and so I
Prayers for Hannah.
Yes. Put her in your thoughts that she gets better soon. But before we officially begin the episode, I just want to remind everyone about the subscriptions that we're going to be having around first week of November. I'm just saying it could be the second week. It could be a little bit after that. I don't know yet. But around first week of November, subscriptions, those will be $3.99. It'll be 4 episodes a month. So once a week, an extra episode. And that will be available on Spotify as well as Patreon. Y'all are going to want to subscribe to those because it's going to be a fun time over there. And so today we are covering Halloween.
Yes, I love it.
I absolutely love Halloween. Like, Michael Myers is my favorite movie villain. Like, he is just a freaking beast. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he is.
The man is a beast. He is unstoppable. And I'm not including Halloween Ends in that because no to that whole trilogy. But all the other Mikey Myers out there, that motherfucker cannot die.
No, he's not a man.
No, he is not a man. I don't know what the hell he is, but he cannot be put down.
He scared me when I was young.
Oh, girl, I remember watching this whenever I was so little and like not understanding and thinking there's multiples of him because like he would like go down. I would get scared so I wouldn't pay attention, right? And in my brain I'd be like, okay, he's dead. But then he would come back up and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another one.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that's the only logic that my brain could do.
Definitely.
And so Halloween is a 1978 independent slasher film directed by John Carpenter and written by Carpenter and producer Deborah Hill, who was his little girlfriend at the time. And basically, the way that the movie was made, Mustafa Akkad and Erwin Yablans approached John Carpenter and asked him to make a horror movie about a psychotic killer who stalks babysitters. Pretty simple. And so Carpenter agreed, and with only one condition. He wanted full creative control. So they were like, all right. And with that being said, he was given $10,000 for writing, directing, and scoring the film. And he and Deborah Hill started drafting the whole story of Halloween. And it is said that the screenplay took 10 days to complete, and the script took about 3 weeks to complete. Halloween stars Donald Pleasance as Dr. Loomis. My girl Jamie Lee Curtis is Laurie Strode.
Hey.
Y'all, I freaking love Jamie Lee Curtis.
I love her too.
I respect her so much. And if I could just have a conversation with anybody in the world, it would be Jamie Lee Curtis. Because I feel like she just has so much wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, she'll
definitely.
like talk in like her speeches and stuff. And I'm just like, that woman knows so much.
And she's beautiful.
Oh, absolutely.
I just think she's just so...
And she is aged graciously.
Yes.
Like, mwah, chef's kiss. Nick Castle plays our boy Mikey Myers, a.k.a. The Shape. Nancy Loomis plays Annie Brackett. PJ Souls plays Linda Vanderclock. Charles Cyphers plays Sheriff Brackett. Brian Andrews plays Tommy Doyle, and Kyle Richards plays Lindsay Wallace.
Oh,
she was so cute.
I know.
And for those that don't know who she is, so her sister is Kathy Hilton, she's the mom of Paris Hilton. Everyone knows who Paris Hilton is. So that's Paris Hilton's aunt. And she was also on...
She was on a lot of stuff.
I was going to say, she was also on Little House on the Prairie.
Hey, that's my show.
Hey, no, I'm not talking shit on Little House on the Prairie.
But she was a good kid actor.
Yes, she was a great kid actress.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, totally.
And now she's on Real Housewives of, like, Orange County or some shit. I don't know. She's on Real Housewives. If y'all have ever seen the meme of the people that are up there whispering like this, and they're like, "You never had my side," and blah blah blah. That's them. Have you ever seen that meme?
No.
I'll have to show it to you because it's really funny. Anyways, it is said that due to it being such a low budget movie, the actors, they basically received like very little compensation. Donald Pleasance, because he was such a known actor, was paid the highest amount at $20,000.
And I love him too.
Oh, he's amazing. Wasn't he in Goldfinger? Isn't that what it is? 007?
I don't know, to be honest.
He was in a 007 movie. That's all I know.
Don't put me on the spot like that, because I don't. You know, I know my movies.
Yes.
But don't put me on the spot like that. But I know he is the bomb. He's the bomb in Halloween.
Yes. And as the movies go on, the more insane he gets, the more unhinged he gets.
Yeah.
Like in like the fourth and fifth, whenever he's just sitting up there like yelling at Jamie.
Yes.
Just yelling at her. Come on, child! Tell me where he is! Jamie Lee Curtis was paid $8,000.
What?
Yeah, she was only paid $8,000. She was not very known. She was on a TV show. I don't remember what TV show it was, but before that was the only credit that she had.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. This was like her first feature film.
Huh.
Well, I wouldn't even say feature film because it was so low budget, but like...
You know who her mom is,
yes,
right?
Her mom is Janet Leigh. She was in Psycho. If
Yes, she was the lady in the
she
shower
was Marion
scene.
Crane.
Yes.
Yes.
And she was beautiful also. But Jamie Lee looks like her dad, Tony Curtis.
And I just want to mention they're on screen together in Halloween H2O, which I am just going to go ahead and say, yes, we are covering that this month, because I'm just saying this one, Halloween 2 and Halloween H2O is the perfect trilogy and nobody can change that. But yes, so she plays her secretary in that.
I remember that.
Yes.
That's just cool to me.
But yes, Jamie Lee was only paid $8,000.
That's crazy.
And then listen to this. Nick Castle, the guy that played Mikey Myers, he was only paid $25 a day. Poor guy.
I know. And wait a minute. Okay, I know this is jumping way ahead in the movie.
That's fine.
But when she pulls his thing and the eye,
Where the eye's messed up.
dude's eye.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always makes me laugh. I don't know if that was Nick Castle. I don't know. Okay.
I don't think so. From what I've read, I don't think it was, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
So y'all don't quote me on that.
Okay. He only got $25 a day.
$25 a day. But you have to think it was a super low budget movie.
Yeah.
And I'll get down to the budget here in a minute. Wait.
And it's a damn good movie. Damn good. It's like a tradition that you have to watch that on Halloween. You know, it's a tradition in my house that we're going to watch Halloween. You know. I love scary movies.
Girl, me too. I have a whole scary movie podcast. What you mean? So we can't talk about ultra low budgets without discussing The Mask. Okay? The famous Michael Myers mask. The story that I read was that Carpenter hired Tommy Lee Wallace as the production designer, art director, location scout, and co-editor. and he was the one that created Mikey's mask. He said that he purchased the Captain Kirk mask from a costume shop on Hollywood Boulevard for $1.98. He widened the eye holes and spray painted the skin a bluish white. Simple, easy, and effective. That's literally all he did to it. And so Halloween was filmed in over 20 days, and it was over a 4-week period in May of 1978 in Southern California. And so if you look in the movie and actually pay attention, everything around is green. Literally, there's nothing brown. The only thing that's brown are the artificial leaves that are sprinkled around everywhere that they actually reused in every shot. They would go through and just pick them up.
Until yesterday, until you told me that, I did not know that. And I've been watching this. It came out when I was in kindergarten. I'm 50 now, and I've watched it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And I never knew that.
And I didn't know that until I watched a documentary on Halloween and how it was made and stuff. And I think it was Tommy Lee Wallace who said that they used the artificial leaves. And I was like, no shit. That's so crazy. And so due to it being filmed in that part of summer, it was very difficult to find pumpkins and also those artificial leaves. And like I said, they were reused a lot during filming. And Halloween opened on October 27th, 1978 in the United States. And this next part I can only find on Wikipedia, so I don't know if it's absolutely correct. But it says that it only opened in 198 theaters, including 72 that were in New York and 98 that were in Southern California. And the budget was only $325,000.
Wow.
That is not a lot. And it grossed, just the opening weekend, it grossed $1.27 million. And then it ended up having a gross worldwide of $47.1 million. And I just want to say, Jamie Lee Curtis, I'm pretty sure, I recall seeing an interview that she did. And she says of that $47 million, all that she saw was that base pay of $8,000.
That's wild.
I'm pretty sure she said that she doesn't get any residuals from it or anything. And that is absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
And that is why I wholeheartedly stand with everyone that is on the strike right now. Anyways.
Me too, but we're not going to go there
We're not going to go there.
No.
But actors need to be paid what they need to be paid.
But we're definitely on their side.
Absolutely. Halloween has a runtime of 1 hour 31 minutes or 91 minutes. IMDb gave it a 7.7 out of 10, which I feel like it should be just a little bit higher. It should probably be an 8 in my opinion, but okay. Rotten Tomatoes has it at a 96% tomato meter and 89% audience score. Okay, I agree.
I agree.
But then here's where it gets me. Letterboxd has it at a 3.8 out of 5.
Because they're full of shit.
I feel like it needs to be at least a 4.2.
Yes.
At least a 4.2. Like, come on, Letterboxd. That's ridiculous.
That made my blood pressure rise.
And so we open with the opening title credits, and it's the iconic Halloween theme song playing. And it's pretty basic for an opening. We see a jack-o'-lantern on the left, and on the right side of the screen is going to be all of like the actors' names and stuff. And it's a plain black background. And always whenever like I watch the movie and the music starts playing, it just feels so nostalgic every time. Even if I watch it 5 times in a row, that opening music, and it just like fades in with the jack-o'-lantern, and then it's like starring Donald Pleasance. Like
I get excited.
I get excited, but it's also very nostalgic. It's like, ooh, spooky. Like, it takes me back to being a kid sometimes.
Yeah, oh yeah, I get what you're saying. It makes me feel excited because, I love fall.
Oh, yes.
Mama Mel is a fall, winter person.
Yes.
So that music, I relate that with the whole cold, it's
that cold
chilly
season, spooky season. It's starting to get dark earlier, and it's just like, oogity spookity, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, if you live in the area, anyone that is around my age or older, if y'all are old enough to remember those Thriller Thursdays on Alice 107.7, I'm just saying, whenever they had the Halloween theme song music in the background, that was whenever it was just really fire.
They don't do that anymore.
I think they still do the Thriller Thursdays, but they just don't have that song in the background.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That tells you how much I listen to them.
Right. I'll think about it every once in a blue moon, like every other Halloween or something. I'm like, ooh, Thriller Thursday, and I'll look it up online, and they'll post them online. But the last time that I listened to it, it didn't have the music, and I was like, ugh, can't listen to that.
And your daddy would let y'all listen to it going to school. Y'all were just all, that was y'all's thing.
Yes. He would take us to school, and we would be like, can we listen to Alice 107.7? And he would turn it on.
And he was into it, too.
Yes.
He liked it.
Yes. Yeah. And Heather would be up there doing her ookity spooky voice. And I'm just like, ooh, getting chills on the way to school.
He was a cool dad, I guess.
Yes. No, he definitely was. And so the credits end up fading, and the screen says that it's taking place in Haddonfield, Illinois, on Halloween night, 1963. We transition to a first-person POV, and it's someone walking up to a house. It's this beautiful 2-story house, and they see a teenage guy and a girl making out on a couch, and they end up going upstairs to, wink, wink, because the person, like the POV, backs up a little bit, looks up to the window, and the light goes out. So, we know. And then we get the high-pitched noise. And that noise has always sent shivers down my spine every time. I'm like, ooh. And so the person comes in through the back door, and they go in and they grab a kitchen knife. And they walk through the kitchen, the dining room, and then they're in like the main like living area, and they watch this guy leaving. So the person like walks up to the stairs. Okay, they walk up the stairs. Ends up going into the girl's room. We learned that her name is Judith. And he goes in there, and Judith yells, "Michael?" And then the person stabs her 8 to 9 times.
And she's butt naked.
She's butt naked. And she falls down to the floor, naked and dead. And the person proceeds to walk out the front door, and a car is pulling in. 2 people get out, and the man asks, "Michael?" And we see it. It's a small child holding a butcher knife, dressed as a clown. And the parents are just standing there, looking at him.
And he's standing there looking out of his freaking mind.
Yes, he has like the blankest expression ever.
Yes, a deer in headlights.
He does not look like he is there all the way. Homie is insane in the membrane.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Did he ever, is he like famous, or is he just a kid?
I don't think
they
so.
just use?
I don't think so. I don't think he really got into
He had that blank, I don't know what they told him to make him look like that.
They said look scared.
He was looking,
Look
man.
like you've just seen a ghost.
Yes. Totally out there.
But yes, then the parents are just standing there looking at him like, why don't y'all say something else to him? Why don't y'all say, what happened with this knife? It has blood on it.
What you doing, boy?
What you doing? Exactly.
Right.
Let me come over here and whoop your ass for having a
right.
knife.
I would have been done snatching him up.
Homeboy is 6 years old. Okay?
Right.
Why you got this big ass knife?
That's what I would be saying. Boy, get up here.
Right. What do you have? A knife! No! Literally. Ass whooping.
Yeah. Grab the strap.
No, he needs to go out there. He needs to go grab a switch, okay? He needs to go to the bush and grab a switch, and don't even think about trying to get a thick one. You need to get, if you pick a thick one, you're getting a skinny one. I remember Gree used to tell us that. My grandma, she did not play. She was a very nice woman. Very nice woman. But if we acted up way too much, she'd be like, go get a switch.
Did she ever whoop you with it, or did she just...
I don't
Didn't
remember.
she just leave it on the table?
I don't remember ever having to get a switch. I remember Monica had to get a switch a couple of times. I think she maybe got a little smickety smacked one time. I don't know.
They never told me. Y'all never told me.
No, probably not. She probably just left it on the table then. I remember her saying it, and don't grab a small one. Don't grab a thick one either.
That's funny.
And so we switch over to Smiths Grove, Illinois, and it's now 1978, October 30th. And a man, that's Dr. Samuel Loomis up in this bitch. He's talking to a nurse who's driving, and that is Nurse Marion. And Nurse Marion smokes like a smokestack up in here.
Up there smoking. She driving that car. She whipping it.
Whipping that station wagon.
Whipping that station wagon.
And it's raining.
It's pouring down, raining. And she whipping it, but she got that damn Winston 100.
No, it was Parliaments. Yes, I saw it. I was like, Parliaments. 100s.
The long ones.
The blue and white ones, y'all.
She was pulling on
it. She finished one and started up another one immediately. That woman has lungs of steel, let me tell you.
And she had Dr. Loomis in the car with her, and he's rattling on and on.
Yes.
And she's just
trying to smoke her cigarettes, okay?
I have respect for her.
Me too. And so he's giving her instructions for transport of a patient. And Nurse Marion makes the remark that she hates it when they speak gibberish, talking about the patients. And Loomis says, no need to worry. It hasn't spoken a word in 15 years. She asks if there are any special instructions, and he says, don't underestimate it. She asks if they can refer to it as him, and he says, if you say so. And that's our first little insight to how Loomis feels about the patient, aka Michael Myers. He doesn't see him as a person, only as a thing. And so they talk a little more.
Because he ain't human.
Right, he ain't human.
He can't die.
No, he is pure evil.
Yeah.
Evil! If you know, you know. And so they talk a little more. And as they pull into the opening gates of the state hospital, they see all these patients just roaming around in the rain wearing white hospital gowns. And that is so scary.
It is scary.
The sight of that is absolutely terrifying. And Marion is like, do they just let them roam around? And Loomis is like, what the hell? And so Marion pulls around to the gate for Loomis to get out and open it. This gives the smidgen amount of time for Michael to climb up on the roof of the car. And Marion, why you gotta be stupid, Marion?
Why in the hell would anyone, with it pouring down, raining the way it was, first of all? Okay, you know when you roll that window down, that water's gonna pour straight
onto you.
Yes.
And she trying to smoke her cigarette
yes.
too. It's gonna go out.
Why would you roll the window down and there's crazy people running around?
Exactly. That's like rolling your window down. That's like rolling your window down. That's like rolling your window down when Jeepers Creepers is around. Like that cop.
Yeah.
That cop. Y'all, if y'all have seen Jeepers Creepers, when that cop rolls down the window to check and see what's on the roof and gets yoinked the fuck out. No. If you hear a noise on the roof, you do not roll down the window. So she stupidly rolls down the window. And Michael grabs her face, grabs the fuck out of her face, which makes her freak the hell out. And she presses on the gas and shit. She moving the car around and everything. And then she climbs over to the passenger side. The car kind of stops. Climbs over to the passenger side. And Mikey decides that he doesn't like that passenger window, okay? So he smashes the window, which, by the way, if you can't see it, you can totally see the wrench that is taped to the dude's wrist breaking that window. Just saying. She jumps the hell out. And Mikey jumps the hell into the car and just drives off. He just drives the hell off.
What I want to know is, How did he learn to drive? But he was that little kid when he killed those people.
Who the hell knows? Natural instinct. I don't know. Loomis finally comes out over to join. Finally. I don't know what the hell he was doing. And
girl, wasn't he rolled off in a ditch or something like
no,
it?
So he got out to open up the
Oh,
gate.
yeah.
But like it would have seen her skirting around and shit.
I don't know.
Like, he joins the shit show and he's up there yelling, "It's gone! The evil is gone!" Like, and then he proceeds to just run off. And he just leaves Marion on the ground in the rain, shaken up.
Bless her.
Doesn't even try to be like, can I help you up? Nothing. Just leaves her. I think he asks her if she's okay, but like, just leaves her.
Yeah.
And so it's a quick transition to a beautiful, quote unquote, fall day in Haddonfield, Illinois. And it's Halloween, October 31st. And there's this super eerie score playing in the background. And I wish I could put it in here, but I don't want to get sued. So if you haven't heard this, just go watch the movie or whatever. It's available on Plex for free. We zoom into this young girl. Her name is Laurie. And she's walking to school. And her dad tells her to not forget to drop the keys off at the Myers place. He's a real estate agent, which you pointed this out to me last night when we watched this. You asked, why didn't he just drop the keys off? She's already having to walk to school.
Right.
She's having to take a different direction to drop these keys off.
It took him but just a second in the car.
He had a car. He was getting in the car.
Right.
He was literally getting in the car.
I guess
like,
that's the movie for you.
True, whatever. And so she walks along, and a young boy named Tommy runs up on her, and she's babysitting him that night, and he's talking about all the things that they're gonna do. Tommy asks why she's walking that way. Like I said, she has to go fucking way off in the distance instead of her normal way to school. And
I like little Tommy Doyle. I like
too.
him. And he's spoiled because he has a good babysitter.
Yes. They probably pay her some good money. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
she's a good babysitter.
Laurie is a good babysitter.
She explains like why she's going there, and then they end up at the Myers house, and it's like all old and decrepit and shit. And Tommy tells Laurie that she shouldn't go up there, that's the spook's house. And we get a POV shot inside of the house, and we hear this heavy ass breathing. Like throughout the movie, there's just this heavy ass breathing, and Laurie walks up, puts the key under the mat, and back at the POV shot, the person that's breathing inside suddenly just appears in the POV, and it's like, damn, scary ass music. And Tommy tells Laurie that Lonnie Elam said to never go up there, that it's a haunted house, that terrible things happen there. And as Laurie walks up, like, we hear the breathing, and
he sounds like he was smoking them hundreds,
yes,
too.
he was definitely smoking the hundreds, for sure. And so, like, she ends up walking away. He has to go to school. And as Laurie's just walking, he's just breathing, smoking his fucking 200s. What you mean? And here's his shoulder. It comes into frame. And he's just standing there watching Laurie like a weirdo. How did nobody see this man and question it? Just a person standing there in coveralls with a mask on. A grown-ass man.
It's a movie.
True. But still, I have questions. And so over at Smith's Grove, Loomis is arguing with his colleague, that's Dr. Terrence Wynn that I was telling you about. And at one point, Wynn says that Michael can't drive a car, and Sam yells at him,
"He was doing very well last night. Maybe someone round here gave him a lesson."
It switches over to Laurie in a classroom, and the teacher's talking about fate. And Laurie's up there just looking out the window, and she sees someone. It's Mikey just standing out there watching her from across the street.
Scary.
Being a weirdo. Like, how you gonna just see her just literally follow her to school and then figure out which classroom she's in and just stand there and watch her? And so Laurie ends up having to answer the question, and when she looks back over, he is gone. Okay, just in the dust, gone. And so at the elementary school, Tommy is being harassed by some bullies, these bitches, and they're telling him,
"He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. He's gonna get you. Boogeyman is coming."
Little shits.
I can't stand a little bully.
And Tommy tries to leave, and they trip this poor boy, and he ends up falling and crushes the pumpkin that he was holding, which makes me really sad for him. Not only is his pumpkin broken, he got pumpkin guts all over himself. And as the bullies run off, one of them gets stunned by Mikey. Mikey just kind of like walks up and grabs the poor kid, and then he runs off. And then Mikey just starts stalking Tommy as Tommy walks off. And then like the iconic theme music's playing. And in this moment, I told you about this last night. In this moment, I realized how botched the audio can sound in this movie. And like watching with the regular TV, you're probably not going to hear it. But I was listening with like headphones, and that shit was loud. And you can hear that like just the score of it is not as perfect as we think it is. And it really killed it for me. And yeah, just don't listen with headphones, guys. Because no.
Yeah, I'm not trying to hear that.
And so meanwhile, on the highway, 73 miles from Haddonfield, Loomis is at a payphone, and he's trying to warn a Haddonfield officer that evil is coming. And the officer doesn't believe him, so Loomis hangs up. And nearby, Loomis sees an abandoned truck. And he approaches, and then he sees the white hospital gown, as well as the matchbook for the rabbit in red, which was in Marion's car, okay? And he can only assume that Mikey has been there. And so he quickly runs off to get back on the road to Haddonfield. And if he would have walked just a little bit further, he would have seen the driver. He would have seen the driver of the truck dead in some bushes. He was just laid up dead in some bushes. But guess what? Loomis is a doctor, not an investigator.
Okay.
So I'm not going to fault him.
And that man was uptight. He was irritated. He was upset. Because he was like attached to Mikey Myers in not only just a doctor way. If that
Absolutely.
makes any sense, he had feelings besides just being his doctor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So he knew
that, like, he was literally evil. He knew that there was nothing left inside of him except for darkness.
Yes.
And so back at the high school, the day is over, and Laurie and her friend Linda are walking together. And in the distance, we can hear the cheerleaders cheering. "We're from Haddonfield, couldn't be prouder. Can't hear us now, we'll yell a little louder." And they do that 3 times in an increasingly loud volume. And I never noticed that ever up until this last listen to the movie. And so Linda comments about how many books Laurie has, which tells us basically Laurie is a goody two-shoes. Linda says totally way too much within a couple lines, but for some reason she's still kind of a vibe. And their other friend, Annie, ends up running up.
I can't stand her ass.
Y'all, Annie is a bitch. I never noticed how much Annie is a bitch.
Yes. She is just not likable.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I've never liked her.
She just rubs me the wrong way. Like, I mentioned a few times when she's being a bitch, and I'm just like, girlfriend, no, I would not be her friend.
No.
Point blank, period. And so they do a little girl talk, and Annie talks about how her boyfriend Paul, which we never meet, got grounded and he can't come over tonight. And Laurie mentions that she thought that Annie was babysitting that night, and Linda interjects that Annie only babysits so she can have a place too, but is cut off by Laurie saying, "Oh shit," because she forgot her chemistry book. But I believe that they were probably insinuating that Annie only babysits so she has a place to do the dirty with Paul, which makes her a non-final girl contender, because remember, you can't do the dirty if you're a final girl. That's what Scream says, at least. I don't know. Back to Laurie forgetting her chemistry book. This also tells us again that Laurie is a goody two-shoes. Like, girl, don't worry about it. Linda goes on about how she always forgets her books, and here comes Mikey just rolling down the street, And at first, Laurie's the only one that sees him. And he literally rolls by just staring at them. Okay? Not the head straight up turned, not looking at the road. Okay? Straight up, y'all know, okay, us women out there, you know, you just be walking down the street and some weirdo just drives up next to you and they just looking. You know what I'm saying? That's happened to me before. Just looking. I'm like, not today. Not today. I don't mess around. That's why I carry a taser. And so he ends up flooring it after he passes him. He like floors it and Annie yells,
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
so he literally skirts to a stop in the middle of the road. And I would be so scared.
I would too. He slammed on them brakes.
I would quickly turn the hell around and go back towards the school. Like, I am not playing. But then he proceeds to drive away. And in these shots, we actually see how green it is outside. And back to their little girly talk. Annie invites Linda and her boyfriend Bob over to the Wallace's house. The disrespect. I gotta talk about this real quick. The disrespect out of all the times that I have ever babysat, I don't ever recall ever inviting anyone over. Because I always felt like that was just disrespectful to the people's house that I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. It was disrespect because she's a disrespectful little bitch.
Little shithead. And so Laurie says
She wouldn't be babysitting my kids.
Right. Laurie says that she'll be at the Doyles so they can keep each other company. And Annie does not sound too enthused about her three options, which are watch the kids sleep, listen to Linda screw around, or talk to Laurie. I would not be this girl's friend.
No.
Like, why are you so mad that you got to talk to your friend? What the hell? And so Linda eventually goes to her house, and as Annie is fiddling around in her bag, Laurie sees Mikey standing in front of them, kind of like peeking out in a way from a hedgerow, right? And let me just tell you, if I saw some shit like that, I'm crossing the street.
Oh,
I'm crossing the street.
I'm not just gonna stand there.
No, and also,
You see a motherfucker with a mask on in
just
broad
standing there.
daylight.
I don't care that it's Halloween. I don't care.
Even right, it's broad daylight, and he just standing there. Oh,
And here's what really gets
I'm not
me.
walking nowhere. I'm gonna be running.
Here's what really gets me. Laurie keeps an eye on him until he steps to his right, just behind the hedges. And she then decides to tell Annie, hey, do you see that? You wait till he's gone?
Right.
You wait until he's gone. No. Laurie, I love you. I really do. But you kind of
That was a dumb moment.
You kind of a dumb, okay? You are really dumb, for real. And so Annie is like, let me walk up to these hedges real quick. And of course he isn't there, but Annie decides to do like a little joke on Laurie and says that he's there and that he wants to take her out. Laurie comes up, of course he isn't there, and Annie says how she scared away another one. And Annie comments about how Laurie never goes out with any guys and that she must have a fortune saved up from babysitting so much. And Laurie says that guys think she's too smart, which is messed up. That is just messed up. I feel bad for Laurie. She a little wallflower.
I know. But she's sweet.
She's nice. She needs a little game. You know what I'm saying?
Because she ain't got no game.
No game whatsoever,
None.
especially in them clothes, girlfriend. No. And so they continue walking, and Annie approaches her house. She goes in, and Laurie is caught up in her thoughts and accidentally runs into Sheriff Brackett, Annie's father. And this is where we get the great line from him.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
And she apologizes for running into him and then walks straight home. Laurie goes up to her room and her window's open, and she goes to close it, and there he is again, Mikey Myers, just standing within a clothesline filled with white sheets, which is really scary. Don't ever let me see a clothesline filled with white sheets.
Yeah.
No. Nothing good happens within a clothesline with white sheets.
Nothing.
It's either going to be Michael Myers, because he's been in that multiple times. You know what I'm saying? Michael Myers, or like Pennywise.
Oh, don't even talk about
God.
that. Oh.
And this part's really confusing because she does not take her eyes off of him. And this mofo literally just disappears. So I personally think that it was a figment of her imagination because she's just like so freaked out from her earlier experiences seeing him. Which that's my opinion. I don't know about you, but I just think that's just my opinion.
I never thought about it till you said something.
How do you think about it now? What do you think?
I think it was to her imagination.
Okay.
I think she was just so scared that it was just a thought.
Yeah. And so her phone rings and she answers it, but she can't hear anyone, so she hangs up. And then the phone rings again and she answers it, and it's actually Annie. And she said that the last call was her too. She was just chewing her food. And Annie, why would you call someone?
Can I slap her?
Why would you call someone with a mouthful of food?
Right.
Why wouldn't you wait
And
until
then,
afterwards?
it was me, but I was chewing my food. As you can tell, I can't stand that girl.
She's irritating. She's very irritating. And so she tells Laurie that her mom is letting her use her car, and so she'll pick up Laurie at 6:30. Switching over to 6:30, Laurie's leaving the house with her little purse and her little jacket and her little pumpkin in tow. And she tells, Annie pulls up in her mom's Chevrolet Monte Carlo.
Oh, that was a nice, sweet ride.
It was nice. It was pretty.
Yeah.
Didn't it have a red interior?
I think so.
Red. Y'all imagine having a red interior. And so Laurie gets in and Annie pulls out a little joint for them to smoke. She's like, we have just enough time. Smoke a little joint. And so over at the cemetery, Loomis is there and he's with the caretaker, and the caretaker's just rambling on to him about some man that murked his whole family. And they walk to Judith Smyer's grave. But big yikes, the headstone has been stolen, which who the hell steals a headstone?
Right.
Who the hell steals a headstone? And Loomis then says,
He came home.
back with Laurie.
I don't know why that's so funny to me.
He came home.
He came home.
He came home. Back to Laurie and Annie. They're smoking their little marijuana cigarette.
I can't believe Laurie was smoking.
I think it was peer pressure.
That just shocked me.
I think it was peer pressure. I even have it in my notes. I laugh every time Laurie hits the joint because I think she's doing it purely for peer pressure reasons. I don't think she actually wants it. She just wants to impress Annie.
Yeah.
And they're chit-chatting a little bit while Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult is playing.
Hey.
Which, this was the first piece of media, this was the first piece of media to use this song, which was really cool. And it's the only licensed song in the whole first Halloween movie, which is also
And
really
I love
cool.
that song.
Oh, me too. Annie and Laurie are talking about how Laurie was spooked. While they're talking about their babysitting plans for the night, Mikey is literally riding their ass from behind. You can literally, it's like there's a shot of him like pulling up behind them, but like whenever it switches over to Laurie, like you can see he's like on their bumper. Like, homeboy, chill. If you're gonna stalk someone, at least back the hell up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
I guess he wasn't taught that
wasn't
by
taught
the
that
doctor,
at all.
whatever his name was. He wasn't taught that.
He wasn't taught
part.
that. He was just like, here's how to drive.
the basics.
And so as they ride up on the hardware store, they see Annie's dad. So of course they freak out because they're smoking the reefer. And as they pull up, Brackett tells them that it was a simple robbery and that the thieves took some Halloween masks, a rope, and a couple of knives. And he blames it on kids. What kids are going to take some knives
and
some
knives?
Rope? I can understand the Halloween masks for some kids, but ropes and knives too? Come on now. They leave because they said they're going to be late to their little babysitting gig. And then Loomis comes up to talk to Brackett, and Brackett's like, give me 10 minutes. And in the background, Mikey's just driving along, just driving along right behind Loomis, who's trying to look for him. I'm like, Loomis, pay attention to your surroundings.
bless his heart.
Pay attention to your surroundings, sir. You're trying to find this man. Ugh. I'm stressed. Loomis stresses me out.
Yes, because he's so high-strung and irritated and mad and...
All the time.
Yes. I wonder if he ever sleeps.
Probably not. I feel like Loomis does not sleep. He's like a vampire. He's just up all the time. Ready for some justice.
Going.
Some justice. And so, back at Annie and Laurie, Laurie is feeling some paranoia. And they end up talking about the dance that was the next day. Annie tells Laurie that she can just ask someone. And Laurie says that Annie could do that, but she couldn't. That poor girl got some low-ass self-esteem, y'all. Annie says that she could ask Dick Baxter, but then Laurie says that she preferred Ben Tramer. And they drive along. Mikey's creeping up behind them. I don't know how they still haven't noticed. And it gets dark hella quickly. And they end up going to their little destinations. And then Mikey just parks on the road, gets out, and watches Annie go inside the house from the sidewalk. This man's is literally standing next to a tree, just standing there, watching her. I'm like, how did you not see that when you were walking up?
I guess because it was back in the day, they just wasn't paying attention.
Right, nobody was ever paying attention.
Because I know I'm on my P's and
Wasn't
Q's.
Bundy a thing back then?
Yeah.
I know Dahmer wasn't, but wasn't Bundy? Like, shit. Over at the Myers house, Brackett and Loomis have arrived, and they discuss the house and what all happened and how it hasn't been occupied in 15 years. And they see a deceased dog on the floor.
Oh.
And Loomis casually says,
He got hungry.
"Excuse me?"
Girl, you got me falling out. But that's...
Seriously, though.
He got hungry.
Does Mikey have a habit of eating dogs?
I think he eats whatever.
Brackett says that a man couldn't have done that, and Loomis says that this isn't a man. They go upstairs to Judith's room, and as they talk, a piece of house, I guess the gutter, breaks open a window, and Loomis pulls a gun and then ends up showing Brackett a permit. Brackett says that he thinks Loomis is scared, and this is when we get the famous Loomis monologue talking about how there isn't anything left in Michael, and he, quote, met a 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, end quote.
I don't know why that makes me laugh.
And he said that he spent 8 years trying to reach him and another 7 trying to keep him locked up because the only thing living within him was purely and simply evil.
Evil.
And Brackett asks what they should do, and Loomis says that he is going to wait there, and Mikey has been there once, he'll be back again. Okay, sure. Over at the Doyle's house, Laurie is being the best babysitter ever. And
Yes, I would totally let her keep my kids.
Absolutely. And she's reading Tommy a book. And Tommy says that King Arthur isn't his favorite anymore, and he ends up pulling out some scary comics for Laurie to read him instead. Tommy then asks about the boogeyman, and before Laurie can answer, the phone rings. It's Annie, and she's just kind of calling to chat. And over at the Wallace's dog Lester, the most beautiful doggo ever, is barking at her. And she yells at Lindsay to get the dog out of the kitchen. And Lindsay is being a whole mood, just watching a movie, ignoring everyone and everything.
She probably, because she hates her babysitter.
Right? I'd be like, bitch, you get the dog out. The dog moves on, and Annie proceeds to tell Laurie that she's going to the homecoming dance tomorrow with Ben Tramer. And Laurie's like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. And while she chats on the phone, Tommy goes to the window, and he sees the iconic shape just standing outside the Wallace's house. Just standing there. And Tommy runs over to Laurie, and he's trying to tell Laurie that the boogeyman is outside. But of course, she doesn't believe him. Over at the Wallace's, Mikey is stalking Annie outside the back door. and Annie gets butter all over herself and proceeds to hang up on Laurie and gets butt-ass naked.
She just irritating.
Why you gotta get butt-ass naked is my question.
Trying to act like she's cute.
Mikey gets a little too close and knocks over a hanging plant. Clumsy ass. And as he watches from the window, Lester comes up and is barking at him. But Mikey does the unthinkable and murks poor Lester. R.I.P. to the goodest dog. I'm pissed. I can't
believe he did that.
This is the one part about Michael Myers that I just cannot stand, is that he is a dog killer. Like, no, sir. Back at the Doyles, Laurie and Tommy are watching The Thing from Outer Space, and Tommy asks again about the boogeyman, and Laurie tells him that he isn't real. Tommy tells her that he saw the boogeyman outside, but Laurie tells him, again, nobody's outside. Laurie reasons with him and says the boogeyman can only come out on Halloween night, so she's there tonight, and she won't let anything happen to him, which shows how great of a protector Laurie is. She's a great babysitter, a great protector. I love her.
Yes, I love her too.
And it's also a foreshadow for what's going to happen later on. And then they end up skipping the movie and they start on the jack-o'-lantern. Back at the Wallaces, Annie went to the detached laundry room to put her clothes in. And of course, Mikey is stalking her. And she feels someone watching her. She thinks it's Paul for some reason. But she doesn't see anyone. And she starts her load. And the wind ends up knocking the door shut. And now Annie is locked in the room. She yells for Lindsay, but she is still up in there being a whole mood, watching her movie, not paying attention to anybody. And the phone ends up ringing, and she answers it. It's Paul. Paul tells her to go get Annie for him, and Lindsay goes out to the laundry room, unlocks the door, and it turns out Annie's stupid ass got stuck in the window trying to get out with her little polka dot panties and shit.
Ooh,
They're
I can't
looking
stand
dumb.
her.
Looking dumb. And they go back in the house. Annie talks to Paul, and he tells her that his parents left and that he's able to leave if she comes and picks him up. She agrees, and she goes to tell Lindsay that she's going to go across the street to watch a movie with Tommy Doyle. Annie and Lindsay head over, and Mikey pops out behind some bushes, but then just watches them. Tommy answers the door, and he and Lindsay go watch the movie. Annie goes to the kitchen, and Laurie tells Annie that she needs to call Ben Tramer and tell him that it was a joke. And Annie says that she will consider if she watches Lindsay so her and Paul can get it on. And so Lindsay agrees.
A little nasty.
Little nasty. Up there babysitting, talking about, I need to get it on with my boyfriend. Girl. Annie goes to her car at the Wallace's house, and she remembers, oh yeah, she needs keys to get into her locked car. So she goes inside to grab her keys, and she teases her hair a little bit because her hair, what did you say it looked like?
A poodle.
A poodle. Her hair literally looks like poodle hair. And then she goes back out to the car. Now it's unlocked magically. And Annie doesn't notice, which is a dumbass move. And it does end up noticing the weird condensation on the windshield. And that's when, bam! Mikey pops out and strangles her from behind. She doesn't even have time to scream. She up there trying to gasp and shit. She honking the horn, but then guess what? Mikey finishes her off with a neck slit with no blood. Let me say that. But a neck slit, slice, and Annie is now dead with a stupid ass look on her face.
But we won't have to deal with her poodle ass no more.
Literally. Back at the Doyles, Lindsay and Tommy are watching a movie, and Tommy decides to get up to scare Lindsay, but when doing so, he looks out the window, and he sees Mikey carrying Annie's body into the Wallace house, which is absolutely fucking terrifying, let me tell you.
That is terrifying. I know I'm laughing, but
that is terrifying.
It's so funny that the little boy was trying to scare the little girl,
but then he really got scared by a real threat.
Yes.
And so, of course, Tommy freaks out, which ends up really scaring Lindsay. And Laurie runs over and tells him that if he doesn't stop, she's going to have to send him to bed. And then he's like, nobody ever believes me. But this is also why you should believe children. Just believe children. Believe them. If they say there's a threat outside, believe them. If they say there's a monster under the bed, believe them. Back at the Myers house, Loomis has been keeping an eye out by literally hiding in the bushes. And at one point, Lonnie Elam and his little bully friends arrive to the house, and the bullies dare Lonnie to go inside the house. Lonnie walks up onto the porch, and Loomis scares him away by saying the iconic quote,
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
and Lonnie and his little friends run off. And then Loomis is up there smirking, looking hella proud of himself. He's like, I just scared them kids away. Yes. But then that little smile disappears when he's startled by Brackett coming up behind him and startling him. Brackett tells him that he thinks Loomis is wrong about Mikey coming to Haddonfield, and they argue a little bit, but Loomis tells him death has come to his little town, and he can either ignore it or help him stop it. And Brackett basically says, okay, I'll stick with you, but I hope you're wrong. And if you're right, damn you for letting him go. Okay. I mean, but like, how can you be mad because like the man broke out? He didn't technically let him go. So like, over at the Wallaces, Linda and Bob have arrived and they chat for a minute. And Bob literally carries Linda inside. And let me mention that these high school students are literally drunk, which never made any sense to me. With like 70s, 80s movies, teenagers just having beer, having just access to just tons of beer.
I drank beer when I was a teenager.
So that's just crazy to me. I don't know. Maybe I was a square growing up. I don't know. Like, if we wanted beer, like, it was really hard to get alcohol.
Well, the laws changed.
True.
Because we could just go and get it.
Right? Couldn't y'all just go and get cigarettes for your parents, too?
Yeah, with a note.
Exactly. And B, Bob totally left his passenger side door open. Bravo for that. And they go inside and they realize that Annie isn't there. And they proceed to make out on the couch. And all the while, Mikey is in the hallway just watching them. And I'm really questioning how the hell they did not see him just standing there. He's literally just standing in the doorway, just watching them. I'm like...
He's pervert ass.
Yes, he is a pervert. He's like, I never got to experience that, so I'm going to watch. Back at the Doyles, Laurie and the kids have made a jack-o'-lantern. She's being just the best babysitter ever. And she turns their attention to the movie on the TV. And the phone rings. It's Linda. And she tells Laurie that Annie isn't there. And Laurie asks Linda to tell Annie to call her when she gets back because she needs to know when to put Lindsay to bed. You know, being responsible, unlike those other little shitheads. And Linda tells Bob that they basically have the house for the night, which no the fuck they don't. People live in this house, surprisingly, and they're eventually going to come home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She's like, oh yeah, Lindsay's gone for the night. What is that supposed to mean? The parents are going to be home at like 11. It's probably like what, not even 9 o'clock yet? It just doesn't make any sense. And so Linda and Bob head upstairs, wink, wink, and they get it on, like, in the most vanilla-ass looking position I've ever seen in my entire life. And on top of that, they have a jack-o'-lantern on the side table. And I have a lot of questions about this jack-o'-lantern. Did they make the jack-o'-lantern? Did the Wallaces make the jack-o'-lantern? Who put it there? Did they put it there? Or do the Wallaces just casually have a jack-o'-lantern on their side table? I have questions. And so the phone keeps ringing, and they eventually take it off the hook, which is such an old thing, just taking it off the hook.
Yeah.
You just take
it off the hook.
Someone keeps calling you.
You just take it off the hook.
People nowadays don't even know what that means. Take it off the hook.
Yeah. Take it off the hook.
So with them old ass phones that you have to put on the hook to hang it up, you just take it off, and then doesn't it just start beeping or
it
something?
Goes, nah, 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 and then
Yes.
it'll eventually stop.
Yes, and no one can call you. Will it have like a busy signal, or will it just ring?
Busy.
A busy signal.
Yeah, I had to think about it for a minute because it's been a while.
It's been a while. And so Bob does his little thing, and he comes. I don't think
Nasty
Homegirl does.
Of course she doesn't.
And all the while, we see a Mikey shadow. He's still watching these motherfuckers. And Linda asks if Bob wants a beer, and he says yeah. So she says, go get me a beer. And I'm not sure if this is the first use of this or not. I'm pretty sure it is. But Bob says the line, I'll be right back, and never returns. Which, of course, we know Randy says that that's the third rule to survive a horror movie. Never say I'll be right back, because you will not be back. Just a heads up. Never say
his
that.
ass never came back.
Who, Randy? Don't talk about Randy like that. You're talking about Bob.
Bob.
Oh, fuck Bob. Fuck Bob. Bob goes down
Bob
to
and his glasses.
Right. Bob goes down to the kitchen to grab some beers, and he hears something and assumes that it's someone playing a prank on him, which makes no sense to me. We, the audience, hear this heavy breathing, and that's when Mikey pops the hell out, and we get one of the best kills of the whole entire movie. Mikey, grabs this man, right? Lifts him up off the ground and stabs the hell out of him to the point that he is literally hanging on the wall like a Halloween decoration.
Ugh.
And then Mikey tilts his head to, admire his work that he has done. And I'm just like, hell yeah, brother. You do that. You admire your work, brother. Back upstairs, Linda's filing her nails, and Mikey has fashioned a white sheet to look like a ghost and put Bob's glasses over it.
That is hysterical. That always cracks me up.
That is some funny shit.
Yes, that cracks me up.
And the fact that he thought of that too.
Right.
He was like, oh yeah, let me just grab this dude's glasses real quick and just throw them on top of a sheet. She'll never know. And Linda's like, real cute, Bob, real cute. And then she raises up, and we probably get one of the most paused moments of this entire movie. Honestly, maybe even the entire franchise. Linda reveals her little knockers, and we get only one nip in that shot. And she says,
See anything you like?
and of course Mikey doesn't respond because he's like, oh, milkers. That's all he knows.
Milkers.
That's all he knows as titties is just milkers. Mommy milkers. Milk me, mommy. Give mommy's milk. And so she goofs around with him a little bit. Are you cracking up about milkers?
Yes.
Just think. He doesn't
have
get
any
it.
idea.
He's just like, oh, that's where milk comes from. Let me suck on him real quick.
So gross.
Mommy milkers.
Oh, I'm sorry. That is so hilarious.
Milkers.
Milkers. I never even paid attention to that part of the movie, and then the way you said it, it's just. Oh.
And so she goofs around with him a little bit, but then is like, where's my beer? She's frustrated and says that she's going to call Laurie. And so she does. And right as Laurie answers, Mikey comes up from behind Linda and strangles her with the phone cord. We get more milkers. And all the while, Laurie's listening, thinking that it's Annie playing a joke on her. But then Mikey raises the phone to his ear, y'all. What? This man can't talk. Why he raise the phone up to his ear? What's he gonna do?
I guess breathe.
Smoking his 200s. Laurie ends up looking across the street, and she sees that the living room lights have been turned on, and she tries to call over there, but nobody answers because everyone is dead. And the lights go back off, and so Laurie goes upstairs to check the kids, being responsible, and they're asleep in Tommy's parents' bed. And back over at the Myers house, Loomis finally sees it. After being out there for like a couple of hours, he sees Marion's car parked in the road, and so he begins his search. Laurie has decided to take the leap of faith and go across the street to check on everyone, having no idea what she's about to get herself into. And she tucks the keys away into her pocket and calmly walks over. All the while, a very eerie score is playing. And she gets to the house, rings the doorbell. She's shouting everyone's name. Nobody answers. And she goes around back, still shouting names, and she makes her way inside the house. And it's obviously very odd that nobody's answering since 4 people are supposed to be there. And she walks around this silent house, but she keeps hearing noises, thinking that they're playing a joke on her. And she eventually makes her way upstairs. Which, I'm sorry, you up there just thinking that they're joking with you.
But she's so naive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel bad for her.
She goes into the master bedroom where on the bed, Annie's corpse is sprawled out.
Oh.
And Judith Meyer's grave is on the bed behind her.
That always scared me.
That is so scary. Like, just looking at that is absolutely terrifying. And it takes Laurie a minute to understand what's going on. And she ends up backing up, like, sort of into a closet a little bit. And that's where Bob's body falls and is, like, swinging from above.
That's disgusting.
And then a cupboard opens. And there's Linda's body. And she's laid up there with a goofy-ass look on her face. And Laurie is now outside in the hallway. She's cowering and crying, freak the hell out. And we get a great shot where Mikey's mask is like slowly coming into view from the shadows. And that used to scare the hell out of me. It slowly starts to come into view and it gets brighter and brighter. And it's like, da-da-da!
Yes.
And he stabs at her arm and he cuts her a little bit. And she starts to fall. She ends up falling over the banister railing and down some stairs, injuring herself. And then the chase begins. She sees him at the top of the stairs, and she gets up and tries running out the front door, but it's locked. So she goes into the kitchen. Luckily, the Wallaces, they rich, they got a kitchen door that can lock. And then the French doors leading to the outside have been fixed to where they can't open. And so Laurie tries and tries and tries to open the doors. But then Mikey bursts through the kitchen door and she says, fuck it, and breaks the glass to get the doors open. She makes a run for it, yelling, help, help, somebody help me, please. And she's just screaming, and she does the mistake of tripping over her own feet, which is the dumbest shit ever, which I understand, though. I'm clumsy. That's some shit I would do for sure. And she gets up like nothing ever happened, which bravo to her. I would be so pissed that I would be worried someone saw me fall, honestly. like running for my life. I'm like, oh my God, did someone see that? And she ends up trying to bang on the neighbor's door, and they look out the window but end up ignoring her anyways. What assholes? Like, what if she would have died right there on their porch? I bet you they would have felt really motherfucking bad. And so Laurie makes her way back to the Doyle house, and all the while, Mikey's just taking his sweet-ass time just walking towards her. Terrifying. A villain that just walks...
Yes.
is scarier than a villain that can run.
Yes. And he's just swiftly walking. He's like not barely speed walking, but just enough to intimidate you a little bit. And so she makes it over to the Doyle house, but somehow lost her keys. So she's trying to bang on the door, attempting to wake up Tommy, but is unsuccessful. So she throws a potted plant into the master bedroom window, which does wake up Tommy. And he slowly brings his tired ass downstairs to open the door. And Laurie's able to go inside and lock the door right in the nick of time, right as he's about to get to the porch. And so Laurie's yelling and she's like, go upstairs, go get Lindsay and hide. And for some reason, the phone isn't working anymore. But then Laurie notices that a window was open. Mikey was able to come in through an unlocked window. And so Laurie arms herself with a knitting needle, and right as Mikey raises up from behind the couch and is about to stab her, his clumsy ass misses and stabs the couch instead. So Laurie's like, oh, I'm gonna stab you in the neck. So she stabs him in the neck with the knitting needle. She got him.
And he goes down. And this is what and a lot of people like to call the recharge period. He just needs a minute to get his shit together, but he'll be back. He'll be back. He just needs to, compose himself a little bit. And so Laurie grabs the knife, looks over the couch, and sees Mikey on the floor recharging. She slumps down and drops the knife, which is a rookie mistake. Meanwhile, Loomis has just been roaming the streets searching, Brackett finally catches up to him, and Loomis tells him of his discovery and tells him just to help him look. Laurie makes her way upstairs to the kids, and as she's reassuring them that everything's going to be okay because she killed the boogeyman, Mikey walks up the stairs behind them. The kids start screaming. Laurie's like, get your asses into this bathroom and lock the door, basically. And she goes to the master bedroom. In there, she opens up the balcony doors and she hides in the closet. The opening of the balcony doors was kind of, I guess, to deter him, but it didn't do too much deterring. And so these closet doors.
This was always my favorite part.
Yes. The closet doors, let me describe them for you. They're slatted ones, right? They're like white slatted closet doors. And they open up in what I would say is like an accordion style, okay? And you can see his shadow through the slats. And it's absolutely terrifying. He literally like walks up to the doors, starts grabbing at them, trying to open them. Clearly she's in there. She's whimpering and crying and shit. And this mofo breaks the slats, just punches through them, somehow turns on the light. He's punching wire hangers, and he literally said, no more wire hangers in that bitch, because he's up there punching the shit out of them. And Laurie gets the bright idea to unwrap one of the hangers to make a weapon, right? Right as he's about to get her, she stabs him in the eye with the wire.
Oh.
Hell yeah. He drops the knife. She grabs it and stabs him in the chest. Hell yeah. And he falls to the ground. Laurie, stab him again. She's going to stab him again, right? Hell no. She is still a rookie and assumes that he's dead. And if
She's
it were
so
me,
freaked out.
If it were me, I'd stab him in the forehead. But no, Mikey's just going to be on the floor recharging. Laurie gets the kids out of the bathroom and sends them on a mission to a neighbor's house to call the police. And as Laurie sits there, kind of recharging herself, you can see Mikey laying down in the background. And when I say this man did not miss core day, a single one, he just sits up. No rolling to the side, no arm assistance. He just arises and looks at her. Cut to outside, Loomis sees the kids running away, screaming. And back inside, Laurie stands up, and silently Michael does too. He quietly approaches her, and as she's about to walk away, he starts choking her the hell out. Lucky Laurie over here, Loomis is able to save the day. Laurie rips off Mikey's mask, this is only one of 4 times where you see his face in the entire franchise.
And his eyes all fucked up.
His eyes fucked up because Laurie stabbed him in the eye. And Mikey puts his mask back on, but then is shot by his own doctor. And he backs up into the master bedroom. Loomis follows and proceeds to shoot Mikey 5 more times. And each time, Mikey takes a couple steps back, but ends up falling 2 stories onto the ground. And Laurie asks,
"What's the boogeyman?"
And Loomis says,
As a matter of fact, it was.
Loomis walks over to the balcony and sees Mikey is not laying there, bleeding out. He's disappeared. Laurie cries on the floor, and Loomis stares off. We get the score and the shots of the empty house's interior and exterior, and Mikey's breathing heavily, and then roll credits. And so that was Halloween 1978. I love this movie.
I love it too.
It always puts me right in the perfect mood for spooky season.
Yes.
Like, it's so classic. That score, the ambiance. John Carpenter did a phenomenal job.
Yes, he did.
Chef's kiss. Absolutely chef's kiss. I'm so glad you came. I'm so glad you came this week.
It was fun.
Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Anytime. And so next week we will be covering Halloween 2 from 1981. I think it's one of the only sequels that are about equal to the original.
I agree.
I'm not going to say that it surpasses.
I like it.
But it's equal. Now, Terminator 2, that one surpasses the original. For sure, it's the only one that does. But yes, next week, Halloween 2. You guys don't forget about our subscriptions around the 1st of November, $3.99 Patreon and Spotify.
Subscribe.
You guys do not forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Morgue Pod. All of those links will be in the description of this episode. If you click on this episode, you will see a description right below it. Just click see all or see more, I believe, and it'll show all of our links. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever. And I will see you next time.
Stay spooky.
Stay ookity spookity out there. Bye.